You gotta listen to me. Yeah, that's a complex number, and that's what they call standard form. So that's the imaginary part, and this is the real part. And I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of background about it real quick, because we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time about it. Some of this stuff could totally be on an ACT, and you should be like, oh my God, that's great. Because this is about as easy as an ACT problem could be with this stuff. So, I guess really, everything we deal with is a complex number. We just rarely deal with the imaginary part. So like if you were given this, you would just call that 3. And so, we deal with 3 often. And so if you wanted to be fancy, you could say, yeah, we're always doing complex numbers. Is that okay? That part was just for Adrian. I'm sorry the rest of you had to listen to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what I want to do first is, and some of you guys will remember this, and I guess the rest of you know it in a different way. We got to talk about all these things that I could be. And so what is I? Okay, and right, everyone should be happy with that at this point. And so then if we took an I and multiplied it by an I, right, we would get I squared. But what is I squared equivalent to? -1. Is that okay? Does everyone understand that? Yeah. Then we could take another I and multiply it, so it'd be kind of like, I squared times I. Well, okay, so negative I. How about negative I? And then we could actually do another one, right? We could do an I to the 4th, and then that would be, right, I squared times I squared, which would be 1. Now, of course, 4 isn't the highest number we can go to. What's that? Let's go as high as we want. How high do you want to go?
378.
Well, okay, so like what? So like what would I to the 5th? Let's take it easy for right now.
64.
Right, let's not get carried away. I to the 5th would be equivalent to what? Say it again. All right, but I don't like radical -1. Yeah, I call it I. And if you want to see it, right, it'd be I to the 4th times I. I to the 4th is 1, so then we're back at I. And so then I to the 6th would be -1, yeah. And then I to the 7th would be, and then I to the 8th would be, all right, so then like we could keep going, right? I to the 9th would be I to the 10th would be -1, etc.
So if it's a factor of 1, so like I to the 1st, then it would just always be I in the end.
Yeah, okay, well, so let's do that. Before I move this up, though, you never answer square root of -1, you call it I. And then you never give an answer as I to any exponent, because if it was I squared, you'd call it -1. If it was I cubed, you call it -I. And if it was I to the 4th, you call it 1. Is that okay? All right, so then if you got the pattern, oops. Give me a pretty cool number there, Gannon.
372.
I to the 372. All right, so then, right, you're not going to write that pattern out forever, so what do you do? Yeah, I don't know that way, so I'm not going to do that way. There's got to be an easier way than that. Because what's the pattern? Yeah, it's multiple of 4, so then, like, what can you do? Yeah, so we could take 372 and divide by 4, and what's that give you?
93.
93. Okay, so what's that tell us then? Because again, you can only give me I, -1, -I, or 1. So if it goes in 93 times, which one is it?
3. Not 3, I mean like I lie. It's -I, isn't it?
Oh, so he's saying it's -I. Okay, so anyone want to battle him in the arena of mathematics?
It's 1.
Chrysler says 1.
Obviously, 2s and 4s are going to be the ones, the odd numbers are going to be the
If
-5.
it's radical of 2,
That's a very difficult way to do it.
but not 4, then it'll be -1. And if it's divisible by 4, then it's going to be 1. divided by 4, then it's gonna be negative.
All right, well, okay, so I'm not sure exactly everything he said, but it is 1.
It's one.
All right, so let's do another one then.
I was doing 93 too, so now I'm on.
All right, well, let's do another one. I to the what? Danny, you're so good at
223.
2, 2, 3. All right, so then we could do 2, 2, 3 divided by 4. What's that?
55.75.
55.75. Right, or right, if you really are smooth, it'd be 3 over 4.
Is he- What do you mean bullcrap?
So which one is it?
It's gonna be I.
Would it be negative I?
It would be negative I.
Because it's,
But it's
if
not-
it divides into a whole
but it has
number,
to be a
then
positive.
it'll
How do you
be
tell if it's negative
1.
or
But it's not visible.
So
Right.
why are we dividing? I get the ones and
Huh?
the nines, why, I don't get the positive ones.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why would it make sense, like if this is the pattern, why would it make, here's the pattern again. Why would it make sense that we're dividing by 4?
Because 4 is the max one that you can get. If you divide it by.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah. I don't know what he said, but yeah.
Oh, well,
But it's not visible.
But he said he was gonna poke you in the eye.
Because there's like one
Yeah.
pattern.
Shouldn't it be odd since it's not visible in degrees?
Right, so the pattern is that there's 4 stops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do it this way so that everyone's not confused. Let's do it this way so you're not confused.
Additional 3 over 4.
Oops.
So you're on the third stop after 4, almost.
Right, oh my gosh, I'm messing up here. So if it was I to the first and we divided 1 by 4, what would we get?
1/4. Too bad.
Yeah, or 1/4 or 0.25. So if we did I to the second, we did 2 divided by 4, it would be,
Oh, I see.
oh, I remember this.
yeah, right, like 0.5.
So the 3/4 means it's 3.
So the 3/4 means, yeah, that we went through it, who cares how many times, 55 times, that, on that one.
That's all that matters.
And then, yeah, so the only thing that matters is if, like, this number up here, the 3 over 4.
Fractions will tell you. So if
Yeah.
the whole number is 4.
So if it's a whole number, it goes in evenly, then it's 4, and so then the answer is 1. Is that okay with everyone? Does everyone know what the steps are?
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay? So I know there's other ways to do it, but like, I think this is like the most straightforward.
I like that. That's easy.
All right. So there is a whole IXL about this. Yeah.
But how do you, I get like the I and the one, like the difference, but how do you know if it's a negative or a positive, I or one?
So like, it just depends on what your fraction is. So like, if you stop at, let me get my,
1/4, it would be.
let me pull my white lightsaber out here. My lightsaber out. Right, so if you go through and then you have 1 left over, then it just stops up here at,
Negative.
there's too many buttons to press. Then it just stops here. So then it's I. If you go through it and there's 2 left over, then it stops at I squared, which is -1. If there's 3 left over, then it stops at the 3rd step and it's -I. So it's just like how many left over are there?
So what if it's a whole number?
So then it's down here at the very bottom. Yeah,
Four out of 4. Because that's 4 out of 4.
because there's 4 out of 4, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Can you like say the steps so we can write them down in like
Sure.
words instead of just like?
Sounds. Aren't you the music person?
Huh?
Aren't you the music person?
Yes, or the English person.
But don't both use sounds? Man, there's too many buttons for me to press. I'm having issues over here. All right. Here, we'll do it all. We'll do it all at once. All right. So let's do I to the 3057. All right. So what are the steps? Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like steps. I'm a step person. Always take the steps and not the elevator, Chrysler. You know why?
More exercise.
Why do you say?
More exercise.
More exercise. You got it. Very, very good.
It's just I.
So what is the steps?
Divide by
Divide what by 4?
3,000.
Well, what is that thing called?
Exponent.
Yeah, let's divide the exponent by 4. Ponent. I'm not an English person, why I communicate in grunts and beeps. So we divide it by 4, and then what happens?
You get 764.25.
Okay, so for this one, yeah, okay, so for our example, say what it was.
764.25.
Okay, so really, like, this part is irrelevant, right? Who cares how many times it goes through? It's just a matter of what's left over. So, right, you're looking at, yeah, the decimal, I guess, would be the easiest, right? If, what? If what?
If a decimal or
If 0.5,
negative one,
-1,
and negative one.
0.7, are you just saying random things?
No.
There's a method to what you're saying?
Yes.
And then, yeah, so then if it goes in evenly, or yeah, like 0.0, I guess, then it'd be 1.
This song's the easiest one to learn all year.
Didn't I tell you that this is gonna be the easiest thing all year? Oh, I told you the first period that. Sorry.
We understand this because we're not.
It's not as easy as long division though.
Yeah, you guys get this.
I don't know. This
I
is
can't.
this is definitely easier than long division.
Yeah, as I say, all you're doing is dividing by 4, I mean.
It's not about smart enough to understand.
All right, so we're gonna come back, all right, is this okay now? Everybody happy? All right, so we're gonna come back to this here in a second, but, so like, right now, number 13 is like, she fell into my trap. All numbers talk to me in my head.
I don't know. I think you should get that checked out with servers. They
Help
talk to you, like you can hear them
Message me,
talking.
yeah.
Oh, is it a pager?
I can see it. It's like Jimi Hendrix with a guitar.
Oh, okay.
It's all in colors and stuff. All right, so I believe that's true anyway. So just make sure, this is a rule of thumb for imaginary numbers. If you have a square root of a negative number, you have to change it to an imaginary number first. Otherwise, you're going to lose a sign along the way. So, I mean, it's not like very difficult, but like, right, this would become 2 plus I squared root of 49. And then the square root of 49 is 7. So then our complex number would look like that. That is standard form. And so then things like that would make you like, you know, where this would really matter would be something like 3 times the square root of negative 5 times 2 times the square root of negative 5. So you need to make it imaginary first, okay? So then this would be 3i square root of 5 times 2i square root of 5.
You only multiply the outside numbers.
So then you multiply the outside numbers for 6i squared, and then the inside numbers for 25, don't forget about them. So then 30i squared, which is that okay?
That makes sense.
Does this look like something you've seen before? Or at least you understand it at this point?
Oh, it's fine, no, we're just done.
Is that okay? All right, so the whole point of what I just said is if you start going before you change into the imaginary numbers, you would have gotten to 30 instead of negative 30. Okay? Because you would have said, oh, negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, which is totally true, but you can't proceed until until you acknowledge that they're imaginary. Is that okay? All right, so I'm on page 258. I'm looking at page 258. Hopefully when you see something like this, you want to what? Yeah, you want to FOIL it, right? So just watch your signs, right? 6 and 2. So then 12 minus 18i minus 4i plus squared, right? All right, so then make sure you simplify, right? Then we get to this. What's I squared again? So then finally we get to this. Yeah, that's a good question. Is that as far as you can go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could factor something, but that's outside of the necessary part. Okay, so one more thing that I want to come back to, because one of your IXLs on this is all about the powers of I. And so what do you do when you see a power of I? Yeah, you divide it by 4. So, and then you just, we got the steps. What about that?
And they'll just be
So the negative is what the problem is. So what does a negative exponent tell you to do? So I think someone said it. Yeah, okay, so, right, so this is the same as this. Is that okay? All right, so an I is a radical, and what do you know about radicals in denominators? Yeah, you don't want them there. So how did you go about dealing with that before? Multiply by what? Yeah, okay, so then we can multiply by I over I. Because that's a version of 1, and so we're not changing anything. So then it'd be I over I squared, right, which is I over negative 1. And so then you would say that this is really negative I. Now, don't get, too cocky about it, right? It's not negative because that's a negative. It's negative because we go through this process and find out that it's negative, okay? All right, so, right. So you do have to change them to I. This is number 27.
Yeah.
So, right, like this. And so then it would be I squared, square root of 12. So negative square root of 12, but that's not what the answer is going to be. What else you got to do?
Do you like to make it less?
Yeah, what do you do with that? You just did jazz fingers. Right, is that
If you choose for
yeah, right, okay, so, right. So, yeah, so break it down, right? So then,
Oh, why do you do it like that?
so square root of 2, radical 3, yep. Right, because there's, that is called a factor tree. It's on my list of favorite trees, just not very high.
Never in my life.
It's below oak and maple and birch and ginkgo and dogwood and hackberry and it is above apple tree. I like apples, but not the tree themselves.
Those acorn ones, those oak trees.
Yeah, oak tree is beautiful, right?
What is your 10th favorite tree?
How far did I get?